You know, I sound like I'm playing games.
Well, so you work with competing worldviews, actually.
Well, no question, you're correct. Thank you very much. I wish I had something to use. Well, with pluralism of religions, they had religion coming out of their ears. That was the first cafeteria religious belief systems in the world in Rome. But you see, what held Rome together was their law. Huh? So Rome as an empire was held together by commitment to Roman law. Eternal natural law. Well, you know, one of the things tomorrow, if you can come back, we lost eternal natural law, and then we went to the sociology of law at the Harvard Law School in 1934 with Oliver Wendell Holmes. You know that, maybe. I mentioned him tonight because maybe he can't come back tomorrow to hear about him. But that's over the worldview. Radically pluralistic. But what kept it together was the Roman army and Roman law. You have to have something to unify diversity. Well, you see that? And in that context, now they pulled the Old Testament and did messianic prophecies, and it carried weight with that audience. Huh? See, they didn't have to argue with it, believe that. Now, but when you get out here, they're going not have that audience, don't believe that. Well, what you're getting here is right here. It is no longer authoritative. Now, three things are gone. We'll try to unpack those tomorrow more. Three things are gone in the Western world that stem from the scientific revolution and all these things. That is the loss of authority. Any authority figure after 1930, 40 development psychoanalysis, what happens to authority? How is the person in authority identified? As an authoritarian personality, you no longer have authority, you have a deviant behavior pattern trying to dominate everybody.
Alpha man.
Oh, praise his name. Listen, my precious friend, he helps me when I go down there. Tradition. Now, some of you were fiddling on the roof, some of you are still fiddling. Well, tell you, what was that? Tradition.
Tradition.
Well, tradition, good or bad. See, did what with it? And the young people come along, you know what's happening in fiddle. That's a cultural paradigm. That's worth 10,000 even good sermon and 100,000 bad ones. It's about something that's real. That's what Tavia was talking about. Tradition is what kept us together. And the young people now, what are they doing? Intermarrying what? You know that. They were intermarrying. Well, this is not indirectly related to that, but the nonsense about neurobiology and stem cell research, you do not need to abort live babies to do stem cell research. A person with F+ in biochemistry and analysis of genetic structure, no good and well, that's not the issue. What they want is abortion on demand. Plugged into that, anybody that's opposed to stem cell research is opposed to science. Oh my God. You're opposed. No, I'm not opposed to science. I've got, and I'm bringing them to bear, I'm bringing 2 top guns, about 6 foot tall Uzis on both sides, that are biogeneticists, Christian. And they said, how come people don't know that you do not need to abort a live fetus to do stem cell research? I'm not opposed to research. I'm opposed to abortion on demand. Well, that's what they want hooked together. Don't forget it. When what's his name gone, you keep that in mind. Well, authority, tradition, what else? Truth. Thank you very much, Dan. Dan's my precious man. He's big enough to bear as a switch. He's a little bit smaller than this man. But between you, you could do a body a lot of harm. And he loves his wife, but she's very small.
Should be easy at this way.
And she says jump, and he says how far. She's got him down. That's how I'm at home when she just says jump, and I said, how far do you want me to jump and where? Now? Well, anyway, those 3 things. True self, it is abominable to a postmodern mind to believe in true truth. What Schaeffer called true truth, Robbie, and Christians. What does truth do to people? This is not false. You're correct. Thank you. That is true. No question. But what else? It's divisive. No, you teach class. You're a bright man, they said. But do you grade the student? Well, that's not fair. You just say, well, it's approximately correct. You're in base 10, and they give you, shoot, 2 plus 2 is 9. Well, it's very close. It's approximately correct. See, if there's no truth, I wouldn't know what approximate meant anyway. Well, anyway, you see that? It goes into education. It goes into everything. It's everywhere. It's not just some extra time on Friday night and 8 or 10 or 15 hours on Saturday morning to deal. But radical pluralism, what held the Roman Empire together was its army and its law. Power. That Topher is correct. Where there's no true truth, all you have to dominate any culture or subculture is power. That's where we are. That's all left. If you discuss truth, you're a redneck Bible thumper. See, I come from Southern Illinois, if that offends anybody. Down where they did bathtub gin, and through the bathtub we went and drank the gin. And between St. Louis and Southern Illinois, they used to run hoodlums, through that big. See, I know all about that. See, I saw the Shelton gang, and when I was a youngster, the Sheltons had bib overalls and they had guns. I said, these are farmers. What are they doing with guns? They don't need a gun to farm here. He said, but these are Shelton boys. I didn't know any more after he said it than I did before. But he said, these men run the hooch between St. Louis and Carroll, Illinois. And he said, if you don't bother them, they won't hurt you. I said, I'm not as young as bother them. But they were strange. See, I've never seen them, but that's where I come from. So you understand how bad I am. Now, Jewish scriptures no longer authoritative in a Greco-Roman world. Roman law and Roman authority of the army is the thought. Now here they come. Athens. It's Athens, Illinois, and Athens, Greece. No, the Greeks are the hoodlums that mess up the English tongue. Now, you see, now we're in, this is the intellectual center of the world. Now you are too, but Harvard and Yale and MIT, Pontifical Institute, and the Sorbonne, that's where they are. All the intellectuals in the empire, that's where they were. Now here's this Jew taught by Gamaliel. You know about Paul, you preached on it, you talked about that. But this is strange. This man is going to know a whole lot about a lot of things, and they're what? They're surprised. Surprised. We should strive to surprise more people. Well, anyway, we're going to look at that just devotionally. But this script is I need to push this button again?
Yeah.
Yeah, you watch me, Rick.
All right.
Rick's the hoodlum's putting all these things on the website for me, and Rich takes care of me. I borrowed money off him. He keeps wanting me to pay it back. And I told him I'd owe it forever to be him out of it. I would never try to do that. Now this is approximately 20 years after the day of Pentecost. Now the church is no longer in Jewish context. And then I'll tell you this because you have to go home before I get to this. The last word in the Greek text of the book of Acts is an adverb. I know you wanted to know that. It's an adverb. Well, it's strange sentential writing because they put adverbs to emphasize something. And it's the word unhinderedly. Now I want to give you a thing to look at in the book of Acts. And it says, if ever we're preaching the word of God unhinderedly, nothing was allowed to stand in the way of preaching the gospel. It's translated as an adjective. It's not an adjective, it's an adverb. Well, I suppose you didn't want to know that either, but that's information. It doesn't cost any more than what you're doing anyway. Now here, right here, I want you to notice this audience. Devout Jewish man, had he not looked Tacitus looked like he'd just from Harvard, or Yale, if he's down now, or Princeton, these are scumbags. You can't make it at Harvard, you go to Yale or Princeton. And see, they hate each other. And there's a lot to hate in those people. There's a lot of that. So 20 years after the day of Pentecost, and what do we know from the book of Acts is happening to the Jewish communities? What do we know? This is correct, but there are difficulties. See, it's like in Corinth, Paul goes to Corinth, 1 Corinthians, every chapter in 1 Corinthians over a problem in the church.